tonight on a special Saturday night Schizo version episode of the chill stream. I didn't have any work today, and I had all the stuff lined up, so I figured might as well do this because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be busy tomorrow, And so anyway, had nothing to do, no work today. Figured I would do a stream. Tons of stuff as usual to talk about. Listen, we will. I will see you guys again in 2 minutes. All right, we're back. We are so back. Well, sort of. I'm strangely tired, and I was wondering why I was so tired. I just started getting tired in the last half hour. I'm like, oh shit, I scheduled a stream and blah 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 blah. I want to fuck up losing energy, even though I had food, I had coffee. So I'm like, I shouldn't feel this way, but I think because I had nothing to do all day, like when I called into work, they said, listen, there's been nothing for 3 hours before you called, so it's probably going to be a slow day. I said, all right, I'll go run a few errands, and I just went and ran a few errands, and to save myself time when Monday, my regular day off, comes. So I figured I'd do that, and I did that. I did pretty much everything I wanted to do, but really no heavy lifting, nothing extreme. I just run around, ran some errands, got some stuff done. But I feel oddly tired, and I think it's one of those, one, I'm getting old, but two, there's no clear sort of purpose in front of me. I don't have a task in front of me like, okay, you got to get up, you got to get ready, you got to do this, you got to commit to this, you got to finish this. If I don't have that kind of driving me, to some degree, I just lose energy. You know what I mean? And it kind of sucks, but that's the way it is. And I think that the worst part is that listen, I'm just getting old. I'm just fucking getting old, and that sucks. Nothing sucks more than that. I guess being old and weak sucks, but I'm not weak. I'm just a little bit tired. I will get fucking amped up. I will get this show going. I'll get this off the fucking ground, and we will go, because there's, as usual, there's a ton of shit in play. There's a ton of stuff going on. It's a very exciting time in a lot of ways. I did that brief stream last night coming back from Virginia, talking about when I was on Rumble with Cultured Thug. And part of the problem, one of the things that kind of irritated me when I was thinking about it, that I'm used to, used to stream in my car all the time during COVID, like with Norvin and shit, and even before that, before COVID, with OV and stuff, in places that I don't think the internet was particularly great, like coming like Boston through northern Connecticut and stuff like that. And the mobile internet seemed just fine, but it struck me that that maybe Rumble as a platform doesn't have quite the same amount of muscle to get the bandwidth that YouTube has, which has Google behind it. Because I at one point I stopped at like a rest stop on Highway 95 in Maryland. I don't remember what town it's near, but it's I don't know, 20 miles past the Virginia border or something like that, or yeah, something like that. But I'd stopped there, and once it was like stable and I wasn't moving anymore, then everything was better, and I could, even though I still left the camera off to save bandwidth, but I think there's just that Rumble doesn't have the digital muscle to suck up all the bandwidth the way YouTube does. So I can't really stream on the go the way I was hoping to on Rumble as a platform, but I can still do it from YouTube. And yeah, if I was just meditating on that whole thing, on that whole experience, and I like I said, I didn't really get, if I don't know if you caught it the last stream, but I didn't get a chance to say what I wanted to say. It was a panel thing. There was a bunch of young kids on there, and it's a couple of things strike me. Like Culture Thug was like asking these kids, like, "Hey, what do you think you want to do? What do you think the future's gonna look like? Blah 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 blah, this and that." And I'm like, "What are you asking the fucking dopey 18-year-olds anything? They literally know nothing." So that's, he's saying, well, you should, you could do this and you could do that and you could become part of the system and then support the movement with something or other. And I realize this is the real massive problem that they have, that all these wannabe revolutionaries have, is that you cannot produce anything of value. Your set of ideas, and I've said it before, like, your ideas suck. Nobody gives a shit. Listen, nobody gives a shit about democracy or monarchy or any of it. No, like, really, nobody fucking cares. Nobody fucking cares. Like, they don't give a fuck about your set of fucking ideas. Your set of ideas suck. You know what I mean? It's mostly bullshit, a smokescreen to keep you and your buddies on top and keep everyone else quiet while you extract fucking value from it. And that is an uncomfortable fucking truth that I think way too many fucking people don't really just fucking don't get. And that is that's so fucking true. And I saw this video. I got a quick 1-minute video. I've shown this guy before. He's like a self-help guru kind of guy, but he just put this video up today, and it so completely fucking nailed it for me. I was like, yes, why can't I fucking get this idea across? And I will try to get the idea across. I'll do my part. Hopefully you on the other end will be receptive and do your part. But yeah, here's 53 seconds on the law of attraction.
The law of attraction doesn't actually exist. It's never been proven by science, which means it's the invention of a person or perhaps an industry that has a vested interest in you continually buying books and workshops. An industry that teaches you if you hope it and believe it and think it in just the right format, it'll all show up for you. Which solves for the hard things like logic and workload. Just look at the mind and focus of a 15-year-old boy. If they were attracting it simply by thinking it, they'd all have fast cars and would almost certainly have lost their virtue by now. But logic dictates that's not happening, which means something must be missing from the equation. Like workload. Nothing you want in this world will actually happen unless you choose to do the work. Unless you make hard choices to give up some things to gain other things. Unless you accept the consequences of who you've been and allow yourself to grow, rather than just wishing you were better. Hope this helps.
So that's like self-help guru guy, but everything he says is, so brilliantly on point. If a 15-year-old kid could just attract things into his life, he would have porn stars and Lamborghinis everywhere, right? everyone would have that. The world would be full of Lambos and 15-year-old boys running around with porn stars in the fucking passenger seat. And these guys that are like the fascist bros, they're just wishing for it. They're like, oh boy, I hope we can make this happen. And the history of fascism is a history of abject fucking failure. Nobody elected Hitler. He was handed Hitler was handed the chancellorship. It was a three-way deadlock in Germany. I don't know if he was a fascist. He wasn't a fascist. He was a something else. But the fascists, they love him because he was authoritarian. But the elections didn't, were like deadlocked. They were stalled. And whatever the parliamentary procedure they had in Germany was like, well, this guy gets to pick, Baron von fucking Liverwurst gets to pick who the chancellor is going to be. And Baron von Liverwurst said, oh, okay, we'll pick Hitler, And then Hitler was like, hey, thanks, bro. Really appreciate you giving me the chancellorship. Thanks, democracy bros. Now I'm going to fucking suspend the Constitution, And I think people will, like I said, people don't really give a fuck about the ideas. They don't care. He fixed the economy. So they're like, okay, he fixed the economy. I guess we don't need the Constitution. But what he didn't say was, the quiet part that Adolf didn't say out loud was, oh yeah, and I'm going to send all your sons to fucking die in fucking Europe or the fucking Eastern Front. So that's the part he didn't say out loud, because had he said that, he'd have been even less popular beforehand. So the fascists in Germany were dependent on democracy. Democracy gave them the gift of, legal authority to rule. And, in very typical fascist fashion, they took the fucking knife, point, and stabbed democracy right in the back. Fascism in Italy, Mussolini made the trains run on time. Okay, I guess that's an accomplishment. I don't know what else he did. I wish I knew better what they did economically. Nobody views history from an economic perspective, which they really should, because that would radically change fucking your understanding of history. It would completely rearrange your understanding of history when you start thinking about who made money and did they improve things for everybody, or did they just improve things for themselves and their friends? Looking at it through that lens, not Protestant versus Catholic or Muslim versus Buddhist or whatever bullshit story you choose to believe in about how to order society. Just me and my buddies at the fucking top, you at the bottom, providing us with what we want forever. If you looked at history that way, it would look very, very different. But Italy invented fascism. Mussolini, the velvet glove, the iron fist in the velvet glove. That's what they used to say about Mussolini. And it turned out it was a spaghetti fist inside a velvet glove. Because after making the trains run on time, he thought, hey, I got an idea. Let's go rebuild the Roman Empire by taking over our neighbors, the Greeks. And, Italy had 60 million people. Greece had 10 million people. Italy had the element of surprise. They still got their shit kicked in. And then they had to cry, oh, Adolf, come help us out. These mean guys won't let us take over the country. And then the German army had to come in, and Greeks fought like literally like 6 times longer than everyone else. Every other European country collapsed in fucking 30 days, fucking 40 days. Greeks fought for 243 fucking days before they finally gave in. And that's longer than anybody else ever fought. So fascism in Italy, their best fucking idea was, let's go steal shit from our neighbors. Like, let's steal their entire country. And when it didn't work out, they had to go to, a technologically superior, larger country to bail them out. In Spain, there was fascism, and I did a quick in my preparation to talk to Culture Thug. I was like, okay, tell me about Spanish fascism. Give me like the TLDR Spanish fascism. But when fascism came to Spain from Italy, those guys were broke as fuck. They were fucking brokies. They didn't have 2 fucking pesos to rub together, and they were begging the wealthy people of Spain to back their political movement. Their entire set of ideas was incapable of generating sufficient value to, one, hold itself up, much less hold up an entire nation. What you need to do, or what they needed to do, was take over an existing system. So Mussolini made the trains run on time. He didn't invent the trains or build the railroads. He just kind of, the railroads already existed. The tracks were already there. Trains and conductors, woo woo, little fucking, whistles, and the stations were all there, and the tickets could be fucking sold. All that previously existed. They just weren't keeping the schedule. So what the fuck did he do? He made them keep the schedule. How much of an accomplishment is that? That's not the same as building the fucking railroads to fucking begin with. And I said to Doug again, because I didn't get a chance to say everything I wanted, but I was trying to sort of get my ideas across that Hitler fixed the economy by accident. He fixed the fucking economy totally by accident. You know what I mean? Just stop issuing debt-based currency and don't charge interest on loans, and boom, your economy is going to fucking flourish. That's it. It's that fucking simple, right? It's the mantra. It's the Bitcoin mantra, right? Which is fix the money, fix the world. Fix the fucking money, fix the fucking world. It's that fucking simple. But people are comfortable where they are, and they're just going to stay there. You know what I mean? You're comfortable with the set of ideas that you've committed your heart and soul to, and you can't have your heart broken again. You know what I mean? You found out Santa Claus wasn't real. There's no Easter Bunny. The Tooth Fairy was really your mom and dad sticking $1 under the pillow. And like those three fucking traumas, were so terrible for you. And then you had puberty, which most of you didn't fucking do too good at. And that's like 4 horrible traumas in a row. And now don't tell me that fascism's not going to work. Well, historically, it hasn't worked. And for the people who like Culture Thug, who advocate this philosophy, looking at his life, what 18-year-old kid wants to live that life? Like what kid flipping burgers in McDonald's or working in a fucking gas station overnight or doing some shitty fucking job, driving for fucking Uber or fucking Amazon or DoorDash? Like what kid wants to grow up to be, an angry 50-year-old guy screaming about Jews and living in the desert? That's not their ideal. You know what I mean? They're still thinking about Ferraris and porn stars or whatever. Maybe it's not really a Ferrari. Maybe it's a souped up fucking Nissan and it's little Janie down the street. But you get the idea. They have a 15-year-old's worldview, and that's what they want. And if you're going to try and convince them to see the world your way, you have to, one, at least appear somewhat happy with your own life, and provide them with a way to get what they want. The communists get what they want by lying to you. Oh, we'll give you justice and we'll give you equality, and the workers will control the means of production, and they bullshit you, and people go, oh, that sounds good. All right. What the communists don't say, the quiet part, is we're going to control all the money, and then we're going to put you in a fucking prison camp and work you to death. And if you complain, we're just going to shoot you and throw your body in the field. That part they don't say. That's the quiet part they don't say out loud. We're promising you bread, land, and peace, but what you're going to get is slave labor, child rape, and fucking mass murder. So, but once you're in it, you can't get out of it, right? Because they're holding you at gunpoint. And none of these people that want to change things understand that you have nothing to offer people. Like your set of ideas is not good. Like you're in love with it, but nobody else is in love with it. I think this is what people can't fucking accept. Whatever you think is great is not great. It's really shit. I'm telling you, it's shit, and nobody fucking cares. That's the reason why the alt-right or the hard-right or the online right, they have no goals and no accomplishments, right? And no way to they can't even agree on a goal or what's an accomplishment. So they're all fighting for status. You know what I mean? You wonder why. It's a bizarre parallel with the way blacks act. See, why are blacks so violent? because, you know, black people will kill each other over perceived disrespect. And the reason why is because they have no goals in life. You know what I mean? And they have no accomplishments. You know, when someone goes, yeah, you're a punk ass bitch, you know, the other guy hearing that, the other brother's like, well, I ain't got nothing to do tomorrow. And I ain't got, you know, I can't shoot back that I just finished something. So I guess whatever, I'll just shoot, you know. If you have no goals, you have no way to get to those fucking goals. You know, nothing's going to happen, and you're going to bicker and argue and blah 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 blah, and you're going to be ripe for feds. That was the other thing about Culture Thug. I mean, he seems to think that Nick Fuentes in America First is like, he's. I didn't hear the whole thing because he was talking to most of his audience that knows what he thinks, so he didn't elaborate for my benefit. But he's like, oh, what do you think of Nick Fuentes and America First? And I'm like, holy shit, you know, how do you not know that they're feds? But for him, and I think the people that are still in the movement, what they have right is that elite power is Jewish and that it is intensely negative wherever it exists. That part they have 100% right. How to fix it, they don't have it all. They just don't have that at fucking all. And the reason why we have it, why Bitcoin has it and no one else does, is because I don't need to know what you think you want. Like, you think you want to marry, like, you want to live on a farm with a fucking cow and, you know, to play in the fucking dirt all day and have, you know, a wife who shits out fucking a kid like clockwork every 9 months. Yeah, that's why I would never fucking do that. You know what I mean? Not in a million years would you convince me that's a good idea. Not for me. It might be a good idea for you, but I don't want to fucking do it. And, you know, how do you get there? You have to buy the farm and you have to fucking run the thing and you have to make enough from selling your fucking organic fucking dirt clods or whatever the fuck you think you're going to do in order to, you know, keep shoes on your wife's feet and keep your fucking kids from getting fucking hoof and mouth disease. So there has to be a way to do that. But if you have a local or a state or a fucking federal government looking to punish you because you plant in the spring and harvest in the fall, and that's against communist agricultural theory, first off, you're fucked because you have no way to fight back. And you know, and then once you're gone, everyone's going to starve. So, but in a world where the government as such almost doesn't fucking exist and nobody tells you how to live your fucking life, well, if you're reasonably good at figuring out when spring comes and when fucking harvest time is, you know what? You could probably make a fucking go, assuming you're willing to fucking work like a fucking dog from 5 in the morning to fucking 5 at night. And farm work is real fucking work. And everything smells like cow shit. But that's your dream, so rock on. For the fascists, for that, whatever anti-Semites there are out there, okay, you don't have kids working on a farm, but you got a kid working at McDonald's, he's flipping burgers, he's got to clean the fucking toilets, somebody's got to go out and fill those fucking potholes. You know, the McDonald's worker wishes he could get the paycheck of the pothole guy. But if you're going to try and convince people to come over to your way of thinking, one, you can't be scary. Two, you kind of have to be successful, right? And three, you got to promise them, you know, or show them a way that their life's going to improve. So if you say, listen, if you elect me as a fascist, join Fascists of America, we're going to eliminate stoop labor. There will be no more stoop labor ever. No one will ever have to pick weeds. You won't have to shovel snow by hand anymore. We're going to come up with technological solutions to fix all this. You know, you'll never have to fucking clean public toilets because we're just going to redesign how it all works and we'll have a fucking robot clean it. If you, and you might think, well, that's crazy. Who would believe that? Who believes in racial justice? Who believes in peace and fucking harmony, right? You can sell anything, but you gotta have something to sell, not just do what I tell you or I'll fucking shoot you. Because, like, hey, we already got that. You know what I mean? We pretty much sort of have the same thing, right? And if you can't even do better as a fucking sales line, you're gonna endlessly you're going to be in that little internet ghetto of an ideological prison, which gets nothing accomplished. And the time you have on this fucking earth is super limited. I am keenly aware of that these days. You know what I mean? Every day, I'm like that much fucking closer to, a fucking pine box. And I'm now at this point in my life, I'm like, holy shit, I got to get a bunch of stuff done, or else I'm going to be really unhappy with myself, and I'll have no one to blame but me. So, I don't look to other people to fix shit for me. Like Mr. Self Improvement Guru said, just wanting it isn't enough. You've got to figure out what's the workload, how much time, what are you going to do, what is realistically achievable for you, and what do you have to go, oh, well, that was the old me, and the new me is going to have to work with this. If you can't do that, then listen, there's no fucking second chance of this. You're not getting a fucking 2 bites at the apple. It just isn't going to happen. So, and I said this on Doug's stream. I said, I can't remember where I got it from, but again, it's one of those inspirational quotes, but it's not bullshit. They say you have 2 lives. That every human being has 2 lives, and the second one starts when you realize you only have 1 life. When you realize that the sand is running out of this fucking hourglass, then you're not playing anymore. Then the priorities fucking completely rearrange, and that's when the party really gets started. So I would urge you to do that as soon as you could. If you're 15, you're listening to it, realize now this is your only shot. And if you're 51, it's still your only shot. And think about what's fucking possible. And do not fucking save the value of your life in U.S. paper dollars. This is so I smashed the buy button for a couple $100. You see the date on that, August 5th, right? At 1:04 a.m. right after I finished the stream last week. Put your money where your mouth is. I'm not going to hold. I mean, that $500. It's not. Listen, it's not. I'm not bragging. Woohoo! $500. $100 is nothing, but it represents a certain number of hours that I spend carrying boxes back and forth, and that will not be stolen from me. And that's a big deal to me. May not be a big deal to you. Maybe you're happy being ripped off. The Spanish fascists, the Spanish fascists got ripped off by Russia. Russia stole all of Spain's gold, and Spain never got their fucking gold back, and never rebuilt their fucking treasury, right? Spain didn't do jack shit, hasn't done jack shit for 100 fucking years. So this super ideology that you think is so great, which by the way has failed everywhere it's been tried, failed in Spain. The Italians gave up and switched side to America. And the Germans, well, you saw what happened to them, right? They attacked in every direction at once, and they've been fucking beaten down so hard that by the time the world gets off them, you won't fucking recognize what that culture is. But hey, these are the choices you make. You make the choices, and you have to live with the consequences. And there's a lot of consequences. There's a lot of consequences. So that's where we're at. That's why I say, for me to waste a lot of effort to try and convince people, it just doesn't make sense. You're either here and you get it. You're like, yeah, I don't want to save my life, value my life in Jewish promises, and so I want to do something else. So, if you can buy 1 square fucking centimeter of a Picasso painting, great. I don't think you can, but that would be the thing you could do. And if here's a perfect fucking example. I saw this, and it reminded me of a dude from like Croatia who talked about when hyperinflation hit Croatia and whatever the 60s or whatever the fuck it was. They used to go buy, as soon as they got their paychecks, whatever they got paid to do, they would run to the hardware store and buy tools like hand tools, screwdrivers, wrenches, pliers, any fucking thing, because the tools would hold their value while the currency like would not. But by the end of the week, your paycheck was cut in half or maybe cut by 25%. So, and this was archaeology thing, you know, what did Bronze Age people do with all that bronze, you know, and they found this cache of bronze items, bunch of tools that had moved around from place to place because you need the axe, you need that little knife, you need the fish hooks. That stuff has enduring value because you need to catch a fish again next week and you got to chop down a tree again fucking next month. And these items, which took energy to produce, had to pull that fucking shit out of the ground, heat it up, turn the fucking add copper to the fucking whatever tin to make fucking bronze. That took a lot of work, and that thing kept its fucking value for hundreds of years, maybe thousands, right? Because the technology wasn't advancing real fast back then. So what was the economy really like? And the economy back then is similar to what it is now in that you need something to sit that's valuable today, going to be valuable tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. And the promises of Jews or their fucking shabos fucking servants are not going to get you, where you need to be. And I said this, a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago. As soon as Trump came out, he's like, "Oh, I'm pro crypto this, I'm pro crypto that." I told you Trump was going to do this, and this is a rumor at this point, but I consider it not even fucking rumor. But as soon as I saw this, I'm screaming like a fucking lunatic at my phone. I knew it. Trump family to debut real estate tokenization in new crypto venture. So Trump is going to fleece all of his followers by offering them a fucking Donald Trump real estate shitcoin, right? They're the fucking, all the Trump humpers are going to fucking spend what little fucking savings they still have, right? They're going to pour it into this guy's fucking family fortune and, you know, or whatever, because I don't think it goes to him directly. But he's just going to fleece half the fucking country with a real estate shitcoin based on the Trump name and the real estate empire. And you're going to buy a worthless electronic token and you're going to get fucking rugged. You know what I mean? I said that was going to happen because we all know the people around Trump and we know Trump himself. So I just shudder to think of my fucking niece who thinks this guy's going to fucking fix anything. I'm like terrified to think that she's going to put half her fucking checking account. And there won't be anything I can do to stop it. If there's nothing, understanding that you're powerless to stop people from making these bad fucking decisions, that's hard. That's hard, especially when people, at least for me, that are relatively close to me, are likely to make those bad decisions. I think to myself, fuck, you know, I wish I could be like super persuasive. I wish I could penetrate that fucking that wall of belief in your head that your ideas are shit and they're not going to work, but I can't. You know what I mean? You want to hear that, you know, Trump's going to fucking save everything. You're just not dealing with the world the way it really is. And like the fucking there's a thing called MAGA communism. This is hilarious. Because communism never dies because central banks keep it afloat, keep reviving it. But there's a MAGA communism. And when you realize how delusional the communists are, forget about the fact that they're all sexually abused fucking misfits. They didn't even read the Communist Manifesto. If the American Communist Party had read the Communist Manifesto, they would know they already live in communism because we have a central bank. But they're literally too stupid. They're looking right at it. They don't see it. They're looking right at it. They read, oh, here it is. Here's my fucking copy of the Communist Manifesto. Boy, oh boy, look at how authentically I am with the hammer and sickle. They didn't even read fucking number 5. A central bank is necessary for centralized control of money and credit is necessary for the implementation of communism. And America has a central bank. And it just right over their fucking heads. You guys still living in the dream world? No, we have to be doubly communistical. You have to believe exactly as I believe, in order for communism to be perfect, dude, you already live in a communist fucking world. You stupid fucking retard. But if even if you said it to them directly like that, they wouldn't get it. They wouldn't fucking get it. Oh well, there's nothing you can do. And not that I really know anything about know any people who are communists, but yeah, you can't make people see what they won't see. You're telling them there's a monkey in the middle of a basketball game, and they're not going to see it. They're looking at, no, Trump's a fascist. No, Wall Street is, and blah, 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 whatever they think is happening. Oh, but there's a homeless guy who lives down the street from me, so we can't be living in communism. Okay, yeah, whatever. Good luck. But so much of this shit is just a fucking, Jesus Christ, it's just a fucking rerun. It's a rerun. It's a rerun. And our guy, Cubs to Bears, reminds us of this. And when I picked this because you mentioned Lindbergh's in this, but here's a minute and 30 on how what you're seeing today is kind of a rerun of what was happening 100 years ago.
If you really want to understand the corruption of the Federal Reserve Act, you have to look at the propaganda that preceded it. It all started with the financial panic of 1907, when John D. Rockefeller used the media to call it the Roosevelt Panic of 1907. His newspapers blamed the financial collapse on Roosevelt's trust busting, when in reality, the crash was caused by unregulated Wall Street speculation, specifically the United Copper Company. There would be bank runs, and J.P. Morgan would be hailed a hero after he bailed out the banks. Remember, it was Morgan's Northern Securities that Roosevelt broke up only a few years earlier. Only a few years later, Congressman Charles Lindbergh would claim that J.P. Morgan basically had a monopoly over Wall Street, and the Congressional Pujo Committee would prove that he was right. But what did the media do? They told the public that a central banking system was needed to curb the power of these bankers, and through the Federal Reserve Act, gave a monopoly to the very people named by the Pujo Committee. And in his autobiography, Teddy Roosevelt talks about the newsmen who were purchased by and served the interest of those in power, and how they are some of the worst people amongst us. But we could educate our kids on the history of fake news, on how information...
All right, so then he goes on to sell his books. Good guy, does good historical stuff. To be honest, I think he knows more than he's letting on in terms of, he mentioned J.P. Morgan and the Rockefellers, but he knows that there are other parties involved. However, the guy's, he's got to stay alive. You know what I mean? He's got to stay alive and get most of what he can get, most of what he wants to get out across. And, you know, the children's books help, because the ideas, you know, it sucks to find out that Santa Claus is not real and the Easter Bunny is not real. But if you understand from a young age that the government is lying to you, and you get to see that as you're growing up, that's a belief that's reinforced, and that will help. You know? And when I tell you we're living through a rerun, I saw this and I thought to myself, I wish I lived in a legal environment where you were allowed to cut people's fucking heads off and piss down their fucking throats. We don't live in that environment, and I don't suggest you do that. I don't want you to do anything violent, because that's against the law. But if the legal environment were different, I would have an urge to do that to this particular fellow, whom I'm sure you will all recognize.
I have discussed with Trump the idea of a government efficiency commission.
Nice. Yeah.
And I would be willing to be part of that commission.
I wonder how hard that is.
The antibody reaction would be very strong.
Yes. Yeah.
So you really have to. You're attacking the Matrix at that point. The Matrix will fight back.
A government efficiency commission that he'd be willing to serve on. Listen, I'd be willing to tell you what to do. Like, you know, first, let's put that Constitution thing aside, and then let's get efficient. Right? Does that sound like J.P. Morgan and all the rest? Like, oh, you know, And if there's a commercial real estate crash in 2025, they might try to push that through. And that cocksucker has the balls to say, you're fighting the Matrix. No, you're trying to burn the Constitution, you fucking shabos goy motherfucker. And listen, if I could ever get past that guy's bodyguards, I would cut his fucking head off and piss down his fucking throat. But that's not going to happen, and it's illegal to do, so I don't suggest you do that. But yeah, it's all the same shit over and over and over and over. They have to change things legally. The Government Efficiency Committee said, whatever, like you can't, cities can't issue permits for protests because it costs too much for the police and sanitation to clean up, so it's not efficient tax money wise. So you don't get a permit to protest at all. So there goes your First Amendment right completely. Forget about the fact that it's bullshit. You got to ask for permit in the first place. But no, you're costing the police and the city sanitation too much. So we can't give you the right to protest no matter what happens. You can't show up and protest. If you do, then we're just gonna come down on you like a ton of bricks. So because that's efficient, and we have to think about efficiency, right? And then like this, you could go with tons of stuff, right? Well, you can't have the right to privacy because that hinders the efficiency of police agents. They need to be able to just come into your house and search whenever they want because there's drug dealers and terrorists out there. The whole idea of going to a judge, getting a warrant, following all these fucking persnickety little rules in the Constitution, that's inefficient. The jackboots need to be able to kick in your fucking door and do whatever the fuck they want, whenever they want, in the name of efficiency. And you can see that fucking Lex Friedman, that little fucking midgety Jew cocksucker. Yes, efficiency committee. So same shit, over and over and over again. And how will it work out? I don't fucking know. I don't know, but I don't know. But I made this. I'm gonna give you my two. These are my two fucking. These are my original STFU James original vids. Which because last week was the week that just passed. Not because Saturday starts a new week. Was a pretty good week, and I stopped this place 3 fucking times in a week because I went to Virginia 3 times. But the future, and that you're going to be having your Tesla car, your efficiency future. I'm going to show you a little fucking glimmer of it right here. Check this out. Yeah, guys, check it out. Look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 Tesla chargers. They're not quite ready yet. They're still behind the fence. Where are they? They're right here, right next to the Big Chicken. It's next to this. This is a fried chicken gas station in a chain in the South called Royal Farms, and that's the future of your Tesla people. Like, oh, I'm going to save the environment while they're eating cholesterol infused fast food. It's the 21st century is going to be a real pisser. By the way, that you see that video, the beautiful Toyota Matrix that I drive, star in that video. But the other thing about that Royal Farms convenience store fried chicken joint gas station combo thing, and I realized that the third time I was there, because I wasn't paying attention. I'm usually because it's been so humid, I would stop in there because it's air conditioned, and I would just eat in there rather than just grab a bag of food and drive, which is my normal high quality life. But they have horse racing. I don't know if it's live horse racing or fake digital horse racing. I'm not sure which one it is. And then like in every 5 minutes lottery. And the last time I was in there, I noticed this big strapping fucking black dude, like big, jacked fucking older black guy. And he's going to the ATM, and then he's buying some tickets, and then he's watching the screen. And I don't know how much of his paycheck he was gambling away, but that whole environment, is designed to fucking extract money from you gambling, right? You can't go to the convenience store without. There was a Bitcoin ATM there too. Nobody paid attention to it. A greasy, flavorless fucking fried chicken. If you don't put either hot sauce or something else on it, the fucking chicken doesn't taste like anything. Really, it's just salty. And then you're gonna sit there in your Tesla car for 90 minutes while you wait for it to charge. You know what I mean? That's what the future looks like. You know, and well, while you're here, you might as well gamble. While you're here, you might as well jack up your fucking. You might as well eat 4,000 calories you don't need. And that's Royal Farms, that sort of gas station fried chicken joint combo, and there are a lot of them in Virginia and Maryland, and I think there's one in New Jersey, and I don't know, they're coming up out of the South, but it comes from the South. And then I did one more quick thing across the street from the fried chicken joint Tesla charging station / gambling parlor is this.
Hey, one more thing. These houses, or there's townhomes in an area called James Run, $400,000 a piece, and you could see that that one in the center there, in between the van and the guy getting out of the car. It's all just cheap plywood, and it's I don't know that that's worth $400,000 plus interest to live there, but you know what? For some people, I guess it works.
Yeah, 400,000 plus for, and it's not even real plywood. It's not proper plywood. It's little bits of fucking wood glued together. It's fucking the cheapest shitty housing. 400,000 plus, and you get to live next to the fried chicken joint, right across, right down the, 2 blocks away from fucking Interstate 95. I'm not sure, and there's people that live there. There's already people living. They got C of Os, I guess, or whatever you need in Maryland. There's people living. So I'm like, okay, if that's what 21st century America looks like, it's pretty shitty. I mean, it's you're going to be paying a lot of money for a lot lower quality lifestyle than you think, and that's just the way it is, right? That's just the reality. One more thing. Let's stay with foods. This was like a conspiracy thing. The fucking COVID retards were screaming about this, but it has broken out. It has broken out from underneath the tinfoil hat. Oh, that's a good name for a stream, or a good name for a punk rock. But this is a 58 Second, that real estate bro, who does other sort of economy things, is talking about the value of land.
We have a new trend in the U.S. real estate market, and that's billionaires buying up farmland all across America. We're talking Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Ted Turner, and Stan Kroenke, all of whom own hundreds of thousands, if not millions of acres of land across the U.S. Now, why are these billionaires buying up this farmland? Well, they're doing it as an investment. Bill Gates has come out and said he's buying up land across 17 different states because he views it as a good investment for the future, with 1 acre of farmland appreciating by 400% over the last 20 years, going from $800 to $4,000 an acre. And what many of these new owners are doing is that they're killing the small farm. And the small farmer in America, the number of farms has dropped from 6 million in 1930 to less than 2 million today. A vast majority of our crop production is now controlled by mega conglomerate farms leasing land from these billionaire investors. And so I'm curious, what do you folks think about these billionaires buying up farmland around the US? Let me know in the comments section below.
Okay, so that's the conspiracy people like, oh, they're going to make you eat. They're going to keep all the real food for themselves and make you eat whatever, plastic meat or something. They're not going to do that because the plastic meat thing it doesn't work. It's never going to work. Costs too much, and it won't fucking sell no matter what they do. But the reason why, it's very obvious what he said. All these guys are buying up farmland because they get these huge piles of cash. Inflation is eating those piles of cash, and they park that money in farmland. And not only does the value of the land go up over time, but they get to lease that land out to somebody who needs it to rent. They rent seek off that fucking land. Somebody needs to grow calories, right? The nation has to grow sufficient calories to feed you while you're charging your Tesla car at Royal Farms, and they need farmland to do it. You know what I mean? They need farmland to do it. And the reason why they're all hot to buy it, to go, Bill Gates goes from fucking software to fucking to hayseeds, is because the dollar is fucking dying. The dollar is dying, and they know it, and they're just looking for ways to park their fucking money to outstrip the inflation monster. And they're not where we are yet, or at least they're not where I am yet. They're not. Well, although a fair amount of people are in Bitcoin because Bitcoin took a little bit of a hit. We've bounced back. I don't know how many fucking Bitcoins have been bought up, like $23 billion worth in the last 2 weeks. So there are people who understand that a good place to put your money is a place where the government can't take it. And this, when I saw this, I was surprised because Coinbase or Crashbase, for those of us that have been in Bitcoin for a while, we call it Crashbase because every time Bitcoin pumps, every time the price goes up, Coinbase, the exchange, seems to crash. But the headline, very, very high, this is from Forbes, $20 trillion Bitcoin predicted as stampede suddenly sends prices soaring. All right, that hasn't happened yet. It says, lower down, it says Bitcoin has bounced back from a huge price crash this week, although crypto exchange Coinbase has issued serious warning to its users. And the warning is don't short Bitcoin. Do not stop shorting Bitcoin because it's about to go 20x. Now, 20x from where we are today is 1.60. We're at 60,000. So 20x is 1.2 million. And this is Coinbase warning its traders, the fucking live fast, die hard crowd. Like your time is very short to keep fucking with this. I thought that was pretty interesting because they've never done anything like that before. They've never done anything like that before. So super fucking interesting. Super interesting to me. But what happens? What fucking happens? Where was it? Where did I still have? Do I still have it? You remember this from last week, right? Last time, last stream. The Houthis, by the way, they call themselves Ansar Allah, like Ansar Allah. The Houthis are freaked out. The Houthis, by the way, they're not freaked out. Aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, or Gabraham Lincoln, is headed to the Red Sea. Well, here's what the freak out looks like. Here's what the freak out. Here's the freak out response video. That you tell me how scared they really are. So I don't know if you saw it flash at the end, in both in Arabic and English. This is your only destiny, and it showed little American coffins floating around in the water. Can they do it? Can they fucking do it? They're kind of implying that they can sink whatever comes their way. Now, is that true? I don't know. Iran has said they have a number of cruise missiles. I guess Chinese-made cruise missiles that they're willing to use. And a lot of people are like, oh, hurry up, hit Tel Aviv. But they may be thinking about either those gas platforms or sinking a fucking carrier. I don't know. I don't really know. But Iran and Lebanon are talking a lot of shit. And again, I don't know if we can beat, when I say we, I mean the United States. I don't know if we can beat these people. I don't know that we can. Maybe they're bluffing. Maybe we just need. But I don't think we can really beat them. And they don't think we can really beat them either. Check this out.
هذا أكبر تزوير وتضليل. اضحكوا.
Laugh a little because you will cry a lot. You don't know what red lines you have crossed. You don't know what kind of an aggression you carried out and where you took this conflict. That is why you should know all the fronts have entered a new phase different from the past.
يا جنود لصاحب الفؤاد
So Lebanon and Iran are looks like they're spoiling for a fight. And Lebanon, remember, last year and the last 2 years, couple of years, Lebanon, their banks collapsed. They closed the banks. People were robbing banks to get their own money back. They were taking hostages. You know what I mean? Like the Lebanese, I think it's the lira, collapsed. So things can't be going too good over there. People are unhappy. And if they could focus their unhappiness at the United States and the country with the blue and white flag that nobody likes, they're looking pretty unified. They're looking like they're looking a lot like they're spoiling for a fight. Now, do you think the average kid playing fucking Call of Duty, does he think he can win? Yeah. Is he going to go to the desert and actually win? I don't think so. I don't think so, because there are when they see stuff like this, this is a member of the Matzah Mafia coming to Jesus. But when this happens to you, when this happens to your friends, this is going to change your perception of what Call of Duty really is. I'm telling you, these propaganda videos these guys are putting out are very ballsy. Showing that again, right? Getting fitted for a new yarmulke, or the ultimate heartburn relief, or whatever you want to call it. And then his dopey friend, who has no idea what happened, like coming over there, other than my guess, and I'm not an expert at this, the shooter having to move from that position quickly so he doesn't get counter sniped. These guys aren't ready for this. And if this shit happens to you or your friends and you think it's all a video game, is it really? Like, is it really? Because I think you're going to find that part of what makes this whole thing super interesting to me is I don't know how strong they really are. I don't know if they're bluffing or they're not fucking bluffing. I look at these videos and I go, well, it convinces me they're good at making videos and looking scary, but can they carry it out? I don't fucking know. I got 3 more. Which order should I put? Let's go with the 2 of them are kind of longish. This one is a minute 30, and from the same source, media source. But this, if this, and this is one of those, how do you unpack it? Like, is what's being said true, or is it not true? Is it, are we trying to use strategic deception or what? I don't fucking know. But there are people, military professionals in America, we're not so confident in our ability to fucking fulfill the task.
Senior now U.S. military officials have gone on record cautioning that the U.S. would probably be unable to provide Israel with sufficient protection, even in a one-front full-scale war. It's become harder since Iran's Operation Truthful Promise on April 13th and 14th to support Israel in terms of defense in the same way that they did in April, because Iran knows a lot more, has a lot more intelligence on how they would fire, from where they would fire, where they keep these air defense systems, who would participate, etc. That was an intelligence gathering activity by Iran that night.
Whatever the United States got to the region, or whatever they use, they can deter or use their defenses against Hezbollah. For instance, if Hezbollah want to fire a missile like 60 kilometers, there's nothing that the United States can do. There's only two options. Either all of them should retaliate together, or each one will retaliate in his own way. If they retaliate together, it will be a huge scene and devastating for Israel. And also, if every party retaliates on its own, this will make the Israelis constantly in fear. The Israelis will be in panic maybe for 1 week or 1 month. This alone will maybe pressure more people to go outside.
Well, there are no flights. Blood airport's closed for the first time in its history.
We can let them land them ship.
No, they can swim, which is what Hamas's charter basically suggested.
So what they're saying is nobody's flying in and out of Israel. Depending on the saying, we can't defend them. Can we defend them? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think we have the troops. I don't think Operation Desert Storm, we're not capable of that. Desert Shield or whatever they called it. You know, what we did against Iraq in the early 90s, or what we did against Iraq in the early 2000s. I don't think we're capable. I don't, there's the failure of the U.S. military to fucking effectively fill the ranks is pretty high, and it seems to me that doing this is something that's probably been ongoing for a long time. But here's a high-profile example of just how fucking, not only have they failed so much in terms of recruitment that now they're trying to get their money back. Check this out.
The U.S. Army paid The Rock $5 million and it blew up in their faces. So much so, it's now trying to cancel another $6 million deal with him. It's your tax dollars at work, folks. Earlier this year, the U.S. Army hired Dwayne The Rock Johnson to do 5 Instagram posts promoting the Army, with each one valued at $1 million. And then the Army signed a tandem deal with the UFL, a football league co-owned by Dwayne Johnson, to get its logo on player uniforms and ads during games, for $6 million. With an $11 million spend like that, the Army was probably hoping to get thousands of new recruits. Well, Dwayne Johnson only put up 2 of the Instagram ads, and according to documents obtained by military.com, not only did this campaign not drive any new enlistments, it might have actually lost 38 potential recruits. Colonel Dave Butler told military.com The Rock remains a good partner, but according to the site, low attendance at UFL games also has them concerned. And now the Army wants its money back. The documents showed that the Army is looking to recoup $6 million from its deal with the UFL and $5 million from The Rock. Though, this whole thing could have been worse. In 2012, the National Guard spent $26 million on a NASCAR sponsorship and didn't sign up a single recruit.
Didn't sign up a single new recruit. So the U.S. military has been throwing multiple millions of dollars at various different schemes to try and get people to fucking join up, but nobody wants to join up. They're using celebrities, they're using The Rock, they're using NASCAR, and it's not working. In the meantime, where's my boys? This is what they want to send. This is what they want to send pot smoking, physically soft, undisciplined video gamers against. This is who they want to send you against. And I'm not so sure we have the guys to fucking overcome this. This is Ansar Allah. This is one of their videos. Okay, so I don't know how hot it is over there, but I'm guessing it's about 115 degrees. Looks like that video was shot late in the afternoon. You can see them squirting fucking hoses on these people to calm them down, but they're still jumping up and down, chanting whatever the fuck they're chanting, waving Palestinian flags. That's in Yemen. That's half of the country of Yemen. Willing to come out in numbers like that in 115-degree heat. And I don't think our guys are willing to do that. And how do we take them out? You know, can we do that? Maybe we can do it. But you'd have to listen to people, really bad people that do really bad things, and that's going to cost you something. I don't know how well you know. There's a guy named Eric Prince who used to be a U.S. Navy SEAL, and he ended up becoming a contractor. He was the guy who started Blackwater. And now he's in the billionaire class, believe it or not. He's been a billionaire for some years now. And he is about as bad of a human being as you could possibly be. And here's 28 seconds of showing you just how we are not the fucking good guys.
I provided the Israelis a fully funded, donated ability to flood Gaza with water, with seawater, to flood the 300 miles of tunnels blocked by the Pentagon. Our stuff isn't working that well in Ukraine. The Navy has been ineffective in Yemen. U.S. has given very bad advice, very mixed advice in Gaza, preventing the Israelis from finishing it, or even preventing from ending that war in a clever way.
I don't really think that we can control the Israelis that well. I think, one, the Jews don't. Listen, they're like Judas Supply Child. They want to watch the blue and white flag crush a bunch of women and children underneath the fucking tracks of fucking tanks and imagine that they want some great fucking victory. And they don't want to go up against anybody who fights back. The fact that the diaper brigade in the blue and white country is not willing to really sink their teeth deep into the genocide thing, it's because they're lazy. They're the management class. They're not the ones who do it. Like, why can't you, Goy, just come in and do it? Eric Prince says, the Navy has been ineffective. And that implies, when he says the Navy has been ineffective, it implies there's another branch of service, maybe a land-based branch of service, which could be effective in Yemen, but that would be the Army. And how many people from the Army would you need to get together, and where would you need to put them to stage things and get all the equipment ready to go in there and bring democracy to Yemen? You know what I mean? Assuming you could even do that. I don't think you could do that. I don't think that that's possible. But guys like Eric Prince are thinking of ways to kill tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. And I can't, he's like, I can't believe I donated this plan to Israel and they wouldn't fucking listen. Yeah, you're a monstrous fucking psychopath. And no one's ever going to listen to you. Just take your fucking money and go do something else. But whatever it is, this is the summer of 2024 is going to be interesting. I don't know where it ends up. I don't know. Like I said, the Roaring '20s is going to be fucking wild. We're not even halfway through it yet. Yemen and the problem with the blue and white flag people is one major fucking headache that I don't think is going away. I think we can kill a lot of those people. I think we can kill most or all of those people, but it would take an enormous commitment uh, on America's part, and it would have an enormous cost in terms of politics and a bunch of other fucking shit. And I don't think we're willing to do that. And I think we know that. I think we that this is an overextension on our part. But our bosses, the people who own the blue and white flag, and the bankers who support that, they don't want to accept failure. You know what I mean? They don't want to accept failure. And that's again, I sit here and I think, how's this gonna work out? I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? I want to play fucking armchair fucking military strategist. I have no idea how to get it sorted out. But that's one problem. And here's the other fucking problem. I got a 35-second video out of China, and this is the second problem, a bigger, longer-term problem that we cannot shoot our way out of at all, because China has like 300 nuclear weapons. But in China, they're setting records for doing all kinds of shit, and they're doing stuff in China that you would only think happens in America. Check this out.
China achieved a technological breakthrough at an ultra-deep well on the edge of the Taklamakan Desert in northwest China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region by setting a new daily drilling record of 2,006 meters. The announcement came as drilling work was completed at the Ha-13H9 well in the Tarim oil field located in Shaya County of Aksu Prefecture, reaching a final depth of 7,341 meters. More than 120 cities in 15 provincial-level regions across China have benefited from the natural gas supplied by China National Petroleum Corporation's Tarim oil field.
So China doing fracking, right? Just like we do fracking in North Dakota and in Texas, and they're breaking records in how deep they fucking drill. And 120 cities, are they saying 120 cities? I'm imagining they're like large villages. I don't really think they're cities, but China's really big. I don't know. I mean, maybe it is 120 cities, but they're, the Uyghurs and all this stuff. You remember the Uyghurs and the human rights for the Uyghurs and this and that. I wonder if that here in the West, if that wasn't just a smokescreen for the American government or elements of the American elites who've noticed that these motherfuckers are achieving energy independence from the West, and we don't like it. So we're going to say, oh, they're evil, they're squishing the Uyghurs and whatever. And maybe they are squishing the Uyghurs. I don't fucking know. I remember reading or hearing on the radio that the Chinese government, if the Uyghurs were making a beef, a lot of the Uyghurs are Muslim, they would like lock up every male Uyghur dude who's like 18 to like 35. They would lock them up 48 hours, and then they would knock down the fucking mosque, the local mosque. They would just bulldoze it, and they would claim that they bulldozed it because the building wasn't up to building code specification. It was an unsafe building, and you couldn't let people in there because bad stuff would happen. And then they would let everyone out of jail, and they'd say, "Oh, listen, you could totally, completely rebuild your mosque. Absolutely. Just here's the plans, here's the specifications. Make sure you get up the building code, and then you could have your mosque back." And that that really worked, because all these guys, their religion super important to them supposedly, so they'd have to get jobs and figure out how to fucking rebuild the fucking mosque, and then that would suck up so much of their fucking energy that they wouldn't do whatever terrorism that the Chinese claimed that the Uyghurs were doing. Whether or not they were doing terrorisms or they weren't doing terrorism, I don't know, but it seemed a very clever and elegant solution to controlling the dissidents. Cleverer, or at least as clever as what we do in America. But they didn't demonize anyone. They just said, hey, that building is unsafe. The roof was going to collapse on you. That's why we knocked it down. We're totally cool with you being Muslims. Is that, do the Uyghurs believe that or not believe that? The Uyghurs ended up having to make a choice. Do we want to fight the Chinese whatever federal authorities of the Chinese national government, or do we want to rebuild our fucking church or whatever? And they chose to rebuild their church, and again, that sucked up their energy and channeled it in a constructive way. So the Chinese are doing, and since they're poking holes in the fucking desert and spitting natural gas to 120 cities or villages or towns or whatever the fuck it is, that's the Chinese government doing shit to benefit their own people, right? Which the American government does not do. We're extracting tons of fucking tax money to give to General Dynamics and Raytheon to send bombs to fucking kill people in the Middle East that we have no beef with as Americans. But the people in the Middle East are like, hey, fuck you, we're going to win anyway. I don't know who's going to win this. I have no fucking idea. But I keep looking at these Middle Eastern propaganda videos, and maybe it's just propaganda. Like I said, maybe we are going to win this, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't think we are. I remember Culture Thug was like, he was talking on this stream. He said, "Oh, Iran's not going to do anything. Iran is helpless and incapable, and blah 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 blah." Maybe I'm not enough of a geostrategic fucking dude to figure that out, but I'm just sitting back here looking at the American culture being one where all value is extracted upwards to the elites, and then the elites decide to change the entire culture. So if they make being like football has to be made gay, right? And The Rock has a new football league which can't really take off because it's not getting funding because it's not gay. But the Army says, oh well, we can use that not gay football league to advertise how great it is to be in the Army, blah 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 blah. And getting the recruits, that falls flat on its face. The National Guard is like, hey, all those excitable white people, they love that NASCAR shit. So let's put the Army logo over a NASCAR race car and stick it in front of their faces a lot. And these guys will go join up to die in the Middle East again. But everybody going to those NASCAR races had fathers, uncles, older brothers, family members, brothers-in-law who actually went to the fucking desert and fought for 20 years. And they're like, fuck the Army, fuck that shit. Don't ever join the Army. So the recruitment effort, the propaganda effort, how great it is to be in the Army, failing amongst the NASCAR crowd because the NASCAR crowd was used for 20 years in the desert and they're done. Like they're just fucking done. So we don't have big groups of dudes who can run around in 115-degree weather chanting, USA, USA. But the people of Yemen have like a couple of tens of thousands of people running around the desert chanting Yemen, Yemen, or whatever the fuck they're chanting. It looks like they have the energy and the unity on their side. Can we overcome it? I don't know. And it's super hard to tell, like, from public sources. So that's why I'm used to these propaganda videos going, scratching my head going, I don't know. Is this, we don't seem to be answering it propaganda-wise, and we don't seem to be, there's no effort to gear up Americans to go over there. Like the Europeans ain't going over there, fuck that shit. And we don't have the guys to go over there anymore because the 90s and the early 2000s are over. So can the bad guys win it in the Mediterranean? I don't know. This is fascinating because I really think that pulling America in both these directions, trying to compete with China on one level, trying to physically defeat the whatever you want to call it, resistance in the Middle East on the second level, all the while extracting even more fucking wealth out of America. Can we do all three of those things at once? I don't know, man. I don't know, but it's likely we're going to fuck it up. It is likely we're going to fuck it up because at the end of the day, people learn from shit. Even people you don't expect. This is a 37-second video that is a pattern recognition, right? And you think, oh, I know what pattern recognition is. It's recognizing that the Jews are scumbags. That's not the accomplishment you think it is. But in real time, in real time, with real consequences, some people can figure it out, and some people can't. And this is, everybody knows I love combat sports. This is a great fucking example of strategy applied in real time. Take a look at this.
This is how Charles Oliveira set up Dustin Poirier. In the very first round of the fight, Charles was able to pick up on things that helped him finish the fight in the third round. When Charles threw his right straight, he noticed that Dustin would constantly pull back on it and look to counter with his own right hand, which is Dustin's lead hand. Pulling back on the right hand like this caused Dustin to give up his hips for a takedown. In round 3, Charles threw that straight right and used it as a guide to follow through and under Dustin's counter right hand. This was a beautiful setup by Oliveira for the body lock. He hooked his right leg in, grabbed Dustin's right hand from the mat so that he wouldn't slip out of the back, and Charles did what he does best, a rear naked choke. Beautiful.
So you say, what the fuck does two guys doing MMA have to do with this? Watching what one side does versus the other side does. Every time I do this, you do that, and then I appear to do this, and then I switch. That's how things are won or lost. It's on a punchy kicky level and a punchy kicky twisty bendy level. That's true, and on the bigger strategic level. That's true. So we got to see how this thing ends up. But yeah, I do watch the news, and I do watch all my feeds for all sorts of shit like this, and I'm trying to find a fucking clue to figure out what's going to happen in the next beat. But I don't know if that's going to happen or not going to happen. Although this, okay, yeah, I think this last video I have, in terms of layers, in terms of deception, and here's to fit. This is the bigger version of what I just showed you with two guys doing punchy kicky. This is nation states doing a similar thing with deception and attack.
Here's a very important point. The SDF, US-backed Kurds in Syria, have these ISIS fighters in prisons, in about a dozen or more prisons in northern Syria. If they're going to let out fighters, why wouldn't they just, because they can't keep them anymore. They're prison overcrowding for whatever reasons.
They also talk about freeing up manpower among the Kurdish forces because of the Turkish escalation to the Syrian border.
But why let out people who killed you, and you can't guarantee won't kill you again? They know the ISIS fighters won't turn on the Kurds. These are people they're letting out of prisons under American commands for very specific reasons. The Americans need their bogeyman back in play. If the SDF, if the Kurds and the Americans wanted to genuinely address these problems of overcrowding and a need to free up manpower, they could take these hundreds or thousands of ISIS fighters and deliver them to the Syrian government or the Iraqi government to take care of this problem for them. But they won't. They won't hand over ISIS fighters to their worst enemy, meaning ISIS's worst enemy. Why? Why? They're letting them free because they need to be in play again.
And that's a pretty good analysis. There was one of the fucking, I don't have the fucking, I didn't get the screenshot, but Taylor Swift was going to do she's like, what the fuck does Taylor Swift have to do with this? Well, Taylor Swift, America's sweetheart, was supposed to do 3 concerts in Vienna or 3 concerts in Europe, and they've all been canceled because of the fears of ISIS terrorism. So, like, this is the level of propaganda. Like, those Europeans are missing out on Taylor Swift concerts because of those evil ISIS guys. And guess who's about to get out of prison? ISIS. And guess who's making that decision? The boys at the Bureau of Public Highways in Langley, Virginia. But whatever. That's where we're at. We're at an hour and 25. I'm watching the counter over here. I think I'm getting stream sniped. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Well, even if you're a stream sniper, what should you do? I'm not talking about getting a Mazza Mafioso fitted for a new yarmulke. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this. I'm talking about smashing up the like button. Smash up the like button because I love watching, and you, to be honest, you like it too. Making fucking Google remove the likes. So, yeah, the best way to end all of this shit is to remove your energy from their economic system, which powers all this shit you don't like. Now, if you could, like I said, if you can buy 1 square centimeter of a Picasso painting, or if you can buy 1 fucking square foot of real estate in Miami Beach, or 2 bricks on a building on Fifth Avenue, Manhattan, God bless you. I doubt you can. I don't know that anybody can. But probably the best thing you can do is take the Jew promises, take the central bankers' promises, take the communists' promises of future value and trade them for Bitcoin. Not as financial advice, but as an act of fucking rebellion against a world that was designed to keep you a slave forever. Now, if you want to rebel against that, it's super fucking clear. At the end of this, once that snake is dead, you want to be a fascist, or you want to be I don't give a fuck what the fuck you think you want to be. I guarantee you this: if you do what's necessary, what's ideologically pure and perfect, if you do what's necessary to kill that snake, you're going to be a different person on the other side. The softest option really is being ideologically pure. Why can't do this? Because it doesn't fit into 1924 fascism. You're just chickening out, right? You're just a pussy. Saying, making the perfect the enemy of the good is an excuse for punks. And that is not what this show is about. This show is about people willing to do what it takes to destroy central banking peacefully and legally. And I mean that, peacefully and legally. Because criminals must not be allowed to succeed, because, quite frankly, criminals are running the planet. So we got to end that without becoming labeled as criminals ourselves. Anyway, with that, I'm at 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 26 seconds. Virgil Dark Purple Heart. Everybody going to show up in the coming week. Thanks for stopping by, and I will talk to you guys again relatively soon. See you guys later.